Jeff from 2X Garage. Well, I'm back at Jimmy's. You saw in the last video, we started getting the front end of this cut down to the angle we needed, to the point, kind of that 2-in-1 axle mount. Just showed up at Jimmy's. He's already working. I'm going to show you what we got going on. So this video, what we're going to do is actually we're going to make the actual front axle mount. We did go ahead and order the axle. We know it's going to be 10-inch on centers of where we need it. And what I showed you in the previous video where we had the 1 3/4 pipe that needed to be cut in half, Jimmy's already cut that down. He's been working earlier this morning. Like I said, in the previous video,
10 minutes to 4.
yeah, 10 minutes to 4 is when he got up. I was still in bed. But we got everything cut down to like that clamshell cut in the front. We haven't welded it yet because Jimmy's working on that axle mount. So what I'm going to do is he's going to work on that just for a few minutes. And once he's done, I'll show you what we got going on so we can get the axle mount put on this car. So when the axle comes in, we can get it mounted and get things welded up. With that, guys, I'll see you in a few. All right, so we saw Jimmy did there's that 1 3/4 inch pipe that we had. He already cut this in half. And if you look, that is where your axle is actually going to sit in there. So how does it actually work? Well, this goes on in front just like this. We still got to center our tubes, chassis tubes there. This all has to get welded, but before we do that, we have our actual slugs, we're calling them, and Jimmy's working on threading these. So what happens is this is solid. It slides into this tube in here, and it's threaded. So what happens is it's going to get welded in. This is going to get cut to the radius of this here, and it's going to attach like that. And obviously it's not finished yet, but so once this is cut and radiused, it'll be the radius of this. We can weld it solid, and our axle will bolt right through the front. If that makes sense, I hope it does. Let's go see what Jimmy's got going on. He's on the lathe. He's going to be working on turning what we're calling these slugs that fit in there. So we'll have ourselves an axle mount. See you in a few. All right, now that Jimmy has taken the slugs for the tube, the chassis tubing for the axle mount too, he went ahead and cleaned it all up and threaded it. So what he's going to do now is he's actually going to make what we're calling the fish mouth cut, which is going to be a radius cut. Because the front of that tubing, where it joins, has also got to be radius so that axle mount can fit on there. So he's going to go ahead and do that fish mouth cut on this one and the other one first so we can get these in there. See you in a few. All right, so if you look, Jimmy and I are doing some brainstorming. The axle mount slugs are put in there. We got it held into place. It is 10-inch center to center. This is what our axle is going to mount to. But now what we need to do is put the fish mouth cut in this bottom pipe so that all sits nice and flush so we get a weld. So when we put our other pipe over, it comes down and we'll connect it to here. Probably flatten it out a little bit on the top and weld it. So yeah, that's what we got going on now. You can kind of get the gist of how this all comes together.
Smear a little JB weld on it when it's done.
Yeah, no JB weld.
Take a little scriber and make some little fillets in it. Looks like it was real weld.
Yeah.
Paint on it, and allow it
No.
there.
Jimmy's in a comical mood today. We're going to TIG weld this son of a bitch. Anyway, got to do a fish mouth cut. See you in a few. All right, so you can see what we did there. We got to do one step at a time, one side at a time, because what we're going to do is we saw Jimmy drilling. The reason that is we're going to put rosette welds in there, and that will hold that slug into place. And then what's going to hold your axle mount in place will be the weld around here. So that fish mouth cut is working out pretty well. What we got to do now is we got to do the exact same thing we just did onto the other side, and then we can really start getting this front end tie together. So you can kind of get the gist of that. Pretty cool how that works. See you in a few. All right, so what we saw us do there is we actually held the chassis into place with these here, got it all centered up on our marks. If you look here in the front, we did mark everything. These lines are accurate for center, 5 inches each way, on and on and on. So what we did is use our plates there to hold things into place. And then what we did is we took those slugs, and what we did to make sure they were straight in there is we clamped them to the actual axle mount itself, rosette welded them on each side. And then we checked our centers again a few times, got everything tack welded into place, checked it again, welded it into place there. Jimmy and I are going to get something to eat, but when we get back, what we're going to do is we're going to finish welding that on each side there, so it's a complete weld. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start tackling the top chassis tubes. But yeah, you can kind of get the gist of that. Everything is centered. Everything is solid. Well, almost solid. It's getting there. Kind of neat here, guys. By the way, we're not going to be using these bolts when we get the axle in. It's going to be all aircraft hardware. But you can kind of see the taper now. It does taper off quite a bit. Like I said, it's 10-inch in the front, and it's about 22 and a half in the back. I'll go back there real quick and show you what we got going on with that taper. All right, so this provides a better taper. So like I said, between here and here over here is a little bit more than 22 inches, and it actually tapers down to 10 inches. So it's kind of an optical illusion when you see it from the front, but yeah, it does actually taper quite a bit. So yeah, we're getting there, guys. We're going to go eat. We're going to come back. We're going to do some welding. The hard part on this front part, well, we're almost done with it. See you in a few. All right, we're going to call that a day. It's technically the first day of the weekend, but we've put in 2 days worth of work on this. I know that math doesn't add up, but we have. We're not quite done with that front axle mount yet. We're going to finish up that tomorrow, so I'll show you the completed product on that when we're done. But as you saw, our design with the slugs, the fish mouth cuts, getting everything in there, square with the world, level with the world, and tacked into place. It's actually all tacked into place right now, but what we're going to do is actually finish up the welds on that once everything cools and get everything right with the world. Back here, these tubes are in place. However, they will slide a little bit. So what we're actually doing right now to make sure everything is in place and is going to stay straight, square when we go to weld all this up, we're actually putting our fuel tank in place of where we want it. And we're going to put those cross pieces in, get those in place, and then tie it back together here. So when we do all that in conjunction, the car will actually stay straight, stay true, and be exactly the way we want it. Yeah, we still have some more work to do on getting that front end done, so there will be a part 4. I'll finish that up tomorrow and show you guys tomorrow. I know it seems like a lot of footage on this, but what I do want to do, like I said originally, is I want to document the entire journey of this. It's been a whole lot of fun, learning a lot. And putting this much work in, might as well make all the videos we can. If you like it, you like it. If not, oh well, it's been a lot of fun. But so yeah, tomorrow we're going to finish that up and we're going to start designing and get everything else tied together here so we can actually start putting in the rest of the cross pieces and uprights on this. With that, guys, I'm tired. I got to get something to eat. I know Jimmy's tired because he started at like 4 o'clock this morning. With that, we'll see you tomorrow. Later.